start it there. Welcome back, guys, to episode 32 of the Kind of Nice podcast. Today we got young Grant Mccartney. I said his name right. It's going to be me, Grant Mccartney, and Rocky's got a mic today since it's just two of us.
What about down here?
We got Freya in the room, too.
I'm getting licked up
can you show her with the camera, that one, or no? Is she in the angle? Try to show her. If you guys want to catch the podcast video stuff, she's all black and there's a black background, so you're not going to see her.
I can smell her from here with that breath.
She don't smell, bro. Oh, she got a little bit of breath. It's a little bit. It's not as bad as Bentley, though.
Yeah, true. Bentley got that stank breath, but I don't know, Freya.
If you guys want to catch the full video episode of this podcast or just support us in any way, go to patreon.com/kindofnice. We have over 10 or 15 now full video podcast episodes. We do Zoom meetings with the patrons. We're coming out with some merch soon, do a bunch of stuff. So if you guys want to check that out, again, that's patreon.com/kindofnice. We also have an Instagram, Kind of Nice Show. Grant's got an Instagram at Island Ninja. I'm at Matisse the Kid. And then Rocky does not have one. But let's get into big episode 32. We can start swinging out of the gates. What were we talking about before the thing before I
you mean when we were walking through your living room, or were we talking about the grief, or when we were talking about first of all, we need to mention these little snacks right here.
They're pretty bomb, right?
Tell me what this fella
It's just
right
like a
here
French
is.
like little pastry cookie.
It looks like a token. Like I could spin this somewhere.
You're spinning it in your mouth is what you're doing.
I feel like I could take this to a candy store and get a bigger piece of chocolate because I gave him enough of these.
Yeah, maybe. No, they're tight, right?
I'm gonna eat it, though.
Do you like it though?
What is it called?
It's just like a biscuit. A cookie.
It's good though.
Yeah. They're like, dude, France is just like a bunch of like little pastries like that.
I'm a fan.
Yeah. Mind blanking. Oh.
How you been, Grant?
Yeah, what have you been up to? Fill us in since the last time you've been on.
How long was that?
It's a minute.
2 months. A month and a half.
Last 2 months, man. I've been tightening up.
Have you?
I've been tightening up.
Tightening up, man.
You know
How
what?
so?
I've just been trying to angle things differently, man. You know what I said to a couple people? I've never been physically out of shape. I've never gained some weight and stuff.
That doesn't surprise me.
And been like, oh, I'm kind of heavy, or oh, I can see some love handles, or it just hasn't happened to me.
Yeah.
It's the first time in my life I feel like I'm out of shape in other ways.
Like not physically?
Like spiritually.
Oh, okay.
Like just in disciplines
Yeah.
and stuff that I checked myself and I was like, am I proud of all the decisions I'm making?
Yeah.
And then I was like, that's a dangerous road to go down, because you catch yourself feeling bad about your own self. You get in a really bad place, and you got to make decisions that make you feel good about yourself. You got to have like that self-confidence. You can eat away at yourself when you go, oh, I've been doing this and this and this. And you realize I didn't really like that I was doing that.
You're talking like self-condemnation type
All
vibes?
kinds of stuff. It could be self-condemnation.
Yeah.
It could be something that you go, it's not a big deal. I'll do this. And then we'll see, over time, you're like, maybe I don't like that. Like, I'll sleep in. For me, I like getting up. I like getting up early too. Just, it's my thing. I'm not saying everyone's got to do it.
Yeah, it's good.
But I like to get up. If I go, well, I could get up at 5 to do the 6 a.m. CrossFit class, be out by 7, and start my computer work by 8. Have a good breakfast too. And feel good because I already worked out.
Start of the day, yeah.
If I go, just kind of, I don't know, and I'll roll in around 9 and I wake up, I've lost a lot. I mean, a chunk of my morning, and it's fine. Every once in a while, I'm like, it's cool. If I keep doing that, though, I start to think, I'm not proud of the decisions I'm making. I wish I would have done something different, because I like the different thing. I'm just getting real lax with it, and it's just something I'm like, I need to tighten up.
Yeah, I can see that, like the whole like aspect of like discipline and being disciplined in that manner. But I also see that like as just like when you change your habits, right? Because obviously if you're waking up at 5, it depends for people, right? But for me, like sleep is very important. I need like 8 to 10 like hours of sleep, and just if I don't sleep that much, like I just don't feel well. Like my training's off, like everything's off. But that means like if you're waking up at 5, you obviously have to be going to bed earlier. So if you're doing stuff later in the day that's like productive, and you're not just like going to party or just like messing around, then I'd say like it's fine.
Well, let me throw some more in there, right? That's just one. And for me, this is just me. In the evenings, I waste my time. Just that's what I do. I
Yeah.
I don't do anything productive at night. After dinner, I'm no good.
He done.
I just get on my phone. I start scrolling. Again, I'm not against scrolling. I'm not against watching funny videos. I'm not against, but I've been doing it so much now that I found myself going, I'm not proud of that decision, right? It's not bad. It's not the worst thing ever, but there's enough of those little things that accumulated to like, I don't feel great about my choice. Well, for me too, let's take getting things done in a workplace. If I make some money, I could cruise. I don't have to like. I mean, the
Keep
way
making money.
Yeah, I'm a hustler, so I'll like quickly make a bunch of money, and I could stop.
Yeah.
And just cruise. But I feel good when I work a deal or figure something out or progress myself or work through if I'm going to be speaking somewhere or talking. That's another one. I like to have a good speaking point, a good topic to share with people because it fulfills something in me that I feel like I was made to do. Yeah. I just have on my phone notes and notes and notes of stuff that I could talk to people about.
Yeah.
It just sits on my phone because these things have inspired me. I figured a way around them and I feel like they would be helpful to tell people, and they just sit on my phone and I don't develop out the idea and I don't go talk to people about them.
I mean, maybe you just like need either a platform, like a podcast, right, to get those ideas out, or just the opportunity to get those ideas. Because having those ideas is good, but if you don't have like an outlet for them, then they just kind of pile up, right?
Yeah, and to me, again, it's not a horrible thing. I don't feel awful. They're just stuff where I'm catching myself slipping just a little bit, where I want to tighten up in general and do all those things. So that's one of the things I want to do. Is like, I feel you. Speak on those topics, get up early, ultimately do things you feel proud of. I literally left that note to myself. Yeah. It's like, make decisions you're proud of.
For sure. No, I completely agree. Because like doing things like maybe that in the moment don't feel the best, like waking up at 5 a.m. to go work out, but like afterwards it's going to be like the alternative to like not waking up early and then going to the gym is like waking up at 9 p.m. And you feel good for the moment of sleeping, right? You didn't have that like shitty, like I'm waking up at 5 a.m. to go work out. But then you have that like kind of like self, not condemnation, but like you kind of like hating on yourself. Like, man, you a bum. Like, you know what I mean?
Done something. You didn't.
Yeah, you like kind of like failed what the goal was, which I think that feels worse than like waking up at 5 a.m. sometimes, right? Because you're failing yourself in essence, and you're like, man. But it just depends, because I've learned to be not as aggressive with myself and be more like compassionate and be like understanding in some terms, because there's a place for discipline and there's also a place for that, and being like, okay, well, like I've done this, and I don't put like not goals, man, what's the word for it? I don't like set standards in my life that I don't think are necessary in terms of like waking up at 5 and doing that stuff. Like for me, that's not necessary, because I do like you, like I'm very productive in the morning. Like I'll wake up, and before I like do anything on my phone or just like BS on anything, I'll try to like get stuff done. So I'll do like an hour of like the real estate course stuff, and then I'll like meditate, read the Bible, like do all these things before I allow myself to like mess around and start like playing video games or scrolling or like even like going to like exercise. Like I'll try to get stuff done that's like I don't really want to do, but I know I should. And then after that, I'm like, okay, I can get into stuff that's more fun, right? But I think I don't know, because one thing that's helped me a lot, and I don't know if I've talked about it in the podcast, but we talked about it, is having a room separated. Because before, like my desk was in my room where I sleep, and I would just like sleep, wake up, and then just kind of like flip to my desk and work, and then go back and forth. And there was just something really like, it just kind of like everything got blurred together. Like my days got like blurred together, and there was no separation between like, oh, when I'm in here, I'm doing this and I'm working, and when I'm in here, I'm more relaxing and sleeping, and that's what I do in my bed. And I think there's a big thing, and I don't know like the actual like science behind it, but I like of just doing one thing. And like if in your bed, right? If you're in your bed, you're sleeping. You're never in your bed to like BS. Like get out of your bed and do other stuff. Like I've heard stuff that like people who,
I mean, married people are in their bed to do something else. We're single.
Fair.
We're out here sleeping.
We out here
Catch
sleeping.
me sleeping in my bed.
I'm in the bed. I'm lights out.
I got a twin for a reason. It's just
I got
me.
a full actually. Oh, you got a twin. That's worse. Oh,
yeah,
no,
bro.
You got a bigger bed now, no?
Yeah, I got right now I'm still on the twin. I'm trying to get Performa to send over a queen for me, and I think they'll send me over one here soon.
Bro, I've been complaining because I'm on a full, but this guy's actually, he's the same height as me, but he's way bigger than me. And he's sleeping on a twin.
It's not good. I'll tell you right now.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
Your feet stick out of it and everything?
Bro, my feet are like, because right now, I don't even want to tell it on myself. Right now, there's not even a box spring. That twin's just on the ground. And guess what else is on the ground? My knees and elbows and feet when I lay in that bed, bro. I turn over and my whole body's in the floor.
It's just your torso on it?
Yeah, bro. I'm not meant for a twin. I'll tell you right now. But, I guess the big thing for me is I'm not... Okay, another example of something is I haven't stood up for anything lately. And I do feel like...
Yeah, you have.
Well, I mean...
I could literally
more recently, yes. But that's because I got a wind of this thing to myself that when I need to go stand up for something.
Yeah.
And that's when I made the decision to stand up for the things you're probably thinking. Because I think we are meant to have something that we believe in, stand for, talk about. And even like my faith, I'm not the one who's going to come beat down your door and be like, you're going to hell if you don't. I'm like, hey, what's true is true. Read for yourself, see, this is why I believe in it. But I kind of have that like soft tone about it.
Yeah.
Which I don't know what's right or not, but there's a time and a place. Like if I genuinely believe something, and especially when it comes to Christianity, if I think that this thing will give you to go to heaven or hell, at some point you need to have a little bit of passion to tell somebody you love, I don't want you to go to hell, right? Like,
Yeah.
And so that's just one extreme of it, but there's other little things that I just need to stand up for stuff I believe in and think about. Cause I'm even the same way about fitness where I'm like, yeah, I mean, you should work out or whatever, The fact is like, I genuinely live a good life because I stay fit and work out and make it a priority. I hope other people start to do that.
Yeah.
And I should get excited about telling them and say how good it feels and why I'm not worried about, all these different problems or how I get to enjoy food better because I've worked out and I need to consume calories and I'm not like, oh, I'm overeating or something. And,
He doesn't feel bad when he eats these French biscuits. He's like,
for real, bro. I said I need to eat at this point.
Yeah, I mean, all that's some recent stuff. I have a few topics written down for us. One of them is because we talk about it and we don't have to get like super personal with it, but relationships in general, right? Because now that it's just us two bachelors in here, and Rocky's kind of wifed up, but not really. So
Rocky, what's the deal? Where are you at?
What's the
Before
dealio with you?
we get too into what we're doing. What are you doing?
It's complicated. If I had a Facebook, that's what it would say. It's complicated.
Does she listen to this?
Was that an option? Was that I forget on my Facebook status.
She's gonna like.
That used to be one.
You're gonna call me and be like, delete the podcast.
It's complicated. Dude, it is complicated. Relationships are complicated, man. And I have so many people that are reaching out to me to talk to me and you
For
know,
advice or for what?
anyone who has my homies, I'm always down. Hit me up. I can't say that I got all the best advice, but I'm gonna tell you right now, I got some good advice. But
You got some advice is what it is.
You know what? They say whatever you can't do, whoever can't do it become teachers or something.
Dude, I said that to my professor once in high school. Whoa. He was mad. It was what I think it was those who can't teach.
Yeah.
I was a little shit in high school. It is what it is.
That's a tough one to tell your teacher.
Looking back, I feel really bad because he was kind of like not the brightest guy, right? And now I just feel like an ass. But
I think that the quote is off. It has the truth in it, but it's off because it's saying teachers can't. And the thing is, a teacher has stepped out of a situation and they understand it and they can see the issues. That's where I come into play. Like, I'm not perfect. I don't have a great relationship. I'm not married, but I can see somebody who's married and go, I got these problems. I don't know what it is. I'm like, yeah, it's that. It's this right here. Obviously it's this. How do I now tell you this in a way to not just be like, duh, it's this, but be like, hey, have you thought about maybe like this could be a problem?
Yeah, but
like,
I mean,
light bulb. You're like,
I don't know, because if I was married, I wouldn't really take advice from single guys. I'd be like, this guy.
Mm-hmm. I'll take advice from anyone that I consider wise, but I'm definitely not the one trying to be like, yo, I can tell every married person what to do, blah, blah, blah. I extend what knowledge I have based off of more. And this is what I've been saying about the holiday season when people ask me about grief and pain and how do I deal with it and how I'm trying to incorporate kingdom principles into the things that have actually worked for me, that actually have made a difference, have been biblical and kingdom-based things. Daniel would love this, I'm sure, because this is like...
He's probably not going to listen to this. He's not in it.
Yeah, well, I don't even know how to really say these things other than like they're things that I've read in the Bible about how God works in our world, that our world kind of is against. Stuff like he loves a generous giver. So there's talks about tithing. And when you do, he can like, make extra for that. You give something, you get more. Something's like, what? Or it's better to give than receive. Like, wait a second. I don't know. Receiving's pretty good. Like in our world, I know receiving is good. How is it going to be better to give than receive? Okay. Well, the whole idea of Christ is that he gave his life for us. Like this giving and it's better than receiving thing is
but
not
I actually on that specific one. I think I prefer giving gifts than like receiving them. Right. So like an example is when we got Matt the Taylor. For me, like that brought me more joy than if it would have been flipped and like people like you guys bought me like a guitar, right? Like that would have been sick, but I got more joy out of seeing him happy and like seeing him almost cry than like I would have out of just like getting that myself, right?
And I guess it hits people different because I there's definitely some ways that people experience what I think is actually a kingdom principle play out, where people of course feel the good when they go to a soup kitchen and they feed people for a day. And I think that it's bigger than even that little moment they're feeling. I think that there's an actual, and I'm going to keep calling it kingdom principle, I don't know what else to call it, at play, which is the way, the structure, and who I believe God is and how he does things. Those little elements change things. Like another one would be thankfulness. And then when we choose to be thankful about something, it can change our opinion. It can give us peace in all situations and all these different things. And those have been the things I've been holding on to throughout my whole life. So I see them working, especially now when it comes to like grief and pain and hurt and like, how do I deal with those in the holiday season? Honestly, I use these kingdom principles that I'm like, okay, because I'm not going to tell people like, I try to give advice to people that don't even believe in God. What do I tell them? But they're really just kingdom principles turned into a
self-help
different way. Just maybe remove the God part, but it's still the same thing. Mm-hmm. But it's just turning, don't think about yourself as much when it's like, well, I'm saying be thankful and be praising the Lord and all things. What actually just be thankful. That's like just okay. Don't talk about God part, but whatever.
There's an interesting concept that I remember like either debating or thinking about before. It's been a while since I've thought about it, but it's the concept that like human beings by nature like only do things that are selfish. So in essence, like when you do like things like going to a soup kitchen or like giving a gift or doing these things, you do like you're still doing those because it makes you feel good, right? If it made you feel awful to like go to a soup kitchen and do that stuff, and you just like you felt like physical pain anytime you did something like that, I don't think people would do it for the most part, unless you're masochist. But then if you're masochist, like pain is pleasure, right? So it kind of flips back on itself. I don't really believe in the theory, but it's interesting to think about that. Like, like when we do good things, like we still kind of receive from giving, right?
Yeah, I mean, I literally met a girl at the CrossFit gym. Shout out if she's listening to this. I don't know why she was. Anyways, she wrote her PhD, I think, on that subject.
Yeah.
And she was sitting there telling me about how like every fundamental thing we do is actually about ourselves, and that's how and I was like, okay, I understand your point, but what I don't understand is how could unconditional love fit into that? And I'm an idealist, so I'm not necessarily saying I can actually prove unconditional love is a real thing or whatever, but what I can tell you is I have felt unconditional love from God, and then I've watched and I've seen in other people them act out unconditional love towards situations. Now I could have read that wrong. I could have assumed something different. And they could have actually looked like they were being unconditional.
It's a good point to bring up. It's a tough one for me because I've experienced it like for some people, like there's people that I have unconditional love for, and when I think about it though, I think that unconditional, because like they might have done some stuff that's like really messed up, or
we about to get into it.
But none of that stuff is anything that has been like, I have unconditional love for them as long as like, even if they messed up hard, right? Like you murder somebody, like I still love you, right? But you like, if the stuff you're doing is intentionally to harm me, that's different, because like unconditional love by definition is like unconditional. But if you're personally trying to like come at me to harm me, then I think that's where I would lose that unconditional love, and therefore it isn't unconditional love anymore, right? So that's where I'm like, I do have unconditional love for this guy because I'm thinking like, man, he did this really messed up, but I still got love for him. I'm still going to support him.
All right, then.
But if I'm thinking like this guy would have done something to me, like I go out of his way to harm me, then I'm like, I don't think I'd like feel the same kind of way. You know what I mean?
Yeah. And so I think that what it is, we're experiencing unconditional love in pieces. We have moments of it, and some people have more of those moments, but to have it fully is very, very tough and maybe impossible on earth. I don't know. But I felt that thing from God, and I felt myself trying to have it for people.
Yeah.
And blowing it and having it for a little while and then losing it or whatever. But the thing is that now this is where I'm saying we're going to get into it, is like in our culture right now, I think we're quick to title things love. I love this. I love that. Whatever. I love that. Oh, I love the song. Love in every song, every title. There's a difference between love and like. And when we love something, this is my belief, but I believe when you love something, you have to sacrifice for that, which means it's about that, not about you. Liking is about you. I like you. I like my girlfriend. I like that she comes over. I like she looks like this. I like she wears this. I like she does this thing for me. You like her, but it's really about you. You like the things you do, which isn't bad. It's not wrong.
Yeah.
It's a part of love. It's just genuine at its deepest root. Love to me is when it's about that other person. You go, I want to give my time, effort, energy, money, whatever towards this person with the intent for them, not because then they'll do the things I like. It's like, I'm literally just putting this out there for that person with them as the object. That to me is love. And I don't think we think about that as love anymore. I think we think about love as liking.
Yeah, that's fair. I don't know. Yeah, I mean, defining love is hard by definition because it's one of those like base words that defines things, right? So it's like trying to define like happiness and stuff. But I kind of lost my train of thought.
Yeah, because we deep in it, bro. We're talking about love. It's like Christmas season, not
yeah.
Not
Rocky, can you
February.
turn that light on? Yeah, I forgot to turn it on.
Rocky. What does Rocky got to say about love? He's in a complicated situation.
Let him turn that light on, and then it'll bring into it.
Yeah.
But no, from man, it's interesting because like I think if we had somebody like Matt in here, because we don't have kids, right?
Yeah.
And I think that would be like a big perspective change for both of us, is like having a kid, then you're like, man, this kid could try to murder me and I'd still love him, right?
And I still don't know, because if I hear it another time, well, you wouldn't understand until the day you hold them and you. And I'm like, all right, dude, I've heard it so many times. Or I hear people be like, I love my wife so much, like I'd do anything for her. And then Ryan Reynolds, I think, made the joke. He's like, I love my wife more than anything, and I do anything for her. And then I had my daughter, and I would literally use my wife as a human shield to stop bullets to block my child. And I was like, okay, so that's a thing, and I can assume that's there. So yeah, I can only say I don't know the depth of that. But I don't know. You know, maybe we felt something that's not that similar, or maybe not. Maybe we won't know till we know.
What you got, Rock?
What do you think
You
on love?
You on the
bro?
hot seat now?
On love or relationships?
Both.
Well, I'll start with relationship. I think a relationship is two good single people coming together. Kind of like what you were talking about, the foundation is always biblical. By single people, like they know their identity, they know who they are, they know they bring the baggage that they bring, they know their faults, their flaws, the pros and their cons. They tell that person, hey, these are my cons, these are my pros. This is what I struggle with. That, you know, it's an honest relationship. Two good single people coming together, being one. You know, they come together. That's more relationships. But love is.
What is love to Rocky?
I'm gonna title this podcast "What Is Love."
What is love? What is love to Rocky? What do you think love is?
Love.
If you give me a couple sentences, or one, even if you can narrow it down, but I know that's a hard one.
Yeah, if you were talking like that agape love.
What is that? What is agape?
I ain't never.
love?
Is that Spanish, bro? I've never heard that in my life.
I know, but I want to know. You know,
So that love, like, I don't know about agape love, but love in general, like,
if you could just, what comes to your mind? First sentence you think of when someone says, "What is love?" What would you describe it as? I mean, just rattle it off. You know what I mean? Like, I know it's not gonna come out easy.
Yeah, when I think about
concise.
it, honestly, when the first thing comes to mind was my little nephews.
Yeah.
Like they're 3 and the other one's 7, and like those are the first things. I mean, I had other nephews, but I was like 5 when I had my first nephew. But I was 20 something when I had these guys.
Okay.
And like I saw one, and then like the next one came out, and then they started like be able to talk and call me Uncle Rocky, and it's like, whoa, this is a whole nother experience. And then they look up to me like I'm in a car dancing. I turn back. I see both of them doing the same thing I'm doing. It's like, okay, these guys are looking up to me. I got to watch everything I do.
Yeah.
And that became my love because I realized I can't be doing things I want to do. I can't do things. I can't just go out there and do that because they're going to be there. They're going to see me.
Can't just be rolling the dice
Yeah,
anymore.
I can't just be listening to music I listen to. Like, it became a sacrifice. You were saying I sacrificed music in the car. Okay, I want to listen to this music, but I got these guys with me, so we're gonna listen to
Let's
this.
go. That's a good one.
And then it just became I sacrificed.
Baby
it just
shark,
became
yeah.
Oh dang.
yeah. So like I could be like just driving and I'm thinking about things I want to teach them.
Yep.
Like if they ever get to a fight, I'm gonna make them hug it out for 10 minutes.
Yeah.
I'm gonna make a hug because that's your brother. You don't fight your brother. You forgive him for anything he does. That's your brother. That's the person that's gonna have your back no matter what. And like
That's
that
wild.
became my love. That became love to me. It was like, okay, I got something for you guys. Like I want to, like you said, give. I want to give this person my time, money, whatever. I want to give it to you because it's for you only.
I don't, and you know, innocence comes into play. I don't know why it is that babies and children are our first place of like really easily understanding like love, and why is it a father grabs his baby for the first time, is like immediately just like it's love, you know?
Yeah.
I don't know. Maybe it's because there's innocence and maybe there's no hindrance. Like it's easy for us to have hindrance in loving each other because like we can easily do something mean to one another and whatnot.
Part of it can be like purity too. I mean, innocence, purity is the same thing, kind of.
Because bad things are taught, you know, and we have the chance to not teach them that. We have the chance to redo it with this. It's like a new beginning with the kids. Like, okay, now we get to start all over. Like, you're not going to have the issues I had. You're not going to go through what I had to go through. I'm going to show you what love is. I'm going to give you support.
Dang,
Any sport, I'm there. Like, you know you got me. You know you can call me. You know I'm going to be there. And that's what they did for me.
Well, I'm just saying if we're getting y'all are getting the clue. I'm just pointing out what's being said. If we're saying innocence is what helps us get to love and innocence is the same as purity, that's saying that to experience love, it needs purity.
No, I don't agree with that statement, but because nobody's like pure, nobody's like actually innocent, right? Like
No, but when you bring it, like when your intentions with somebody, you bring that
oh,
purity.
like pure intentions.
Yeah,
I don't know. I'm just saying the purity part is what we've experienced in kids and babies to see something allowed us to more easily experience love in that situation. We're not saying it's
Because like it's done no harm.
We are
something like that.
potentially saying though that the purity is kind of the doorway to the love experience. And
I think
it's one of the
but I think
elements
that's
that,
because like there's it removes the aspect of judgment like before, right? It's like judgment I think can get in the way of love.
judgment can get in the way
But
of love.
when there's purity, there is you can't judge something that's pure because there's nothing to judge. So right, judgment is like kind of like a wall in like you trying to like love something that's like this.
Okay.
You know what I mean? Judgment, and you're like, oh, boom, can't get to loving that because I'm like judging what it's done or what it looks like or what it, you know what I mean? All these things.
So the element of, okay, could you have love in an impure situation?
Yes.
Or in that situation that you're having, the love situation, is it that you're experiencing a slight or very minute element of purity and that's why that love is able to exist? Because I think it's also pretty hard to have completely impure person. 100%. Maybe there is, but that's a very hard thing to be too, which is like just 100% evil.
You get into like, yeah, is there like are human beings like by nature? Is anybody like truly evil or is anybody truly good? Like,
and whether we get in that argument or not, all I want to figure out is purity the doorway to experiencing love? And if it is, that means love needs purity.
I don't think so.
And so can you think of an example or a way of explaining how a situation where purity isn't existing, but you can have love for that person?
Well, because I don't think I can think of anything that's like 100%. Like, what would be the opposite of purity? Like impurity?
Well,
we're getting deep.
Here's what I was thinking. All
A
right.
little crazy.
So I was just thinking I can love a murderer, or the worst thing I can think of, something like a child murderer or rapist or something like that, right?
The meme, what's worse than a child?
Oh yeah.
Or
What's worse than a rapist?
A child.
A child. No, the thing is, I could love them even if they were pure evil. I think.
Yeah.
I don't know. I mean, it'd be tough, but then you're looking at the purity side isn't in them; it's in you. And the purity still exists, and the purity is still the doorway to love. I'm gonna argue, bro.
I
argue it.
think like just because there's like I'm trying to find the quote. I think it's like correlation doesn't always like imply causation or whatever, something like along those lines. Because I think those are two things that are like always in the same department, right? When you're thinking of like emotions and stuff, like those two things coexist. But I don't think like, because it'd be like saying like, because everybody has some purity in them, right? And everybody has like some form of like love they feel towards other people, and because those two things exist, it doesn't mean that they're necessarily like prerequisites for the other one to exist. Because I think like the love for like somebody that I have before they've done something unpure doesn't change if I have like that, like we were talking about unconditional love. Like it doesn't get less or more, or like it is what it is, right? So I don't think purity in essence.
All you're arguing is that there is no correlation. You're assuming,
I don't think there is.
You're assuming everyone has a little bit of purity in some kind, so it allows everyone to have a little bit of love. And maybe, I don't know, but because
it'd be like to take the like most extreme example of like Hitler or like somebody like that. Like, could you love Hitler? Right? That'd be like the tough one, or somebody of that nature.
I mean, I'll go there with you. I'm trying to think. So could I love Hitler? And then how would I prove or not prove a purity inside of it? Because again, the argument would be I could love him based off of the purity that's in me, the pureness of trying to just be loving to people, recognizing the impurities in me.
Here's how I see the situation, and I'm not like saying I love Hitler. That's not at all what I'm saying. Don't misquote any of this.
Yeah, clip that.
But it's just to like show perspective of what I'm saying. Is like obviously what he did in his later life was not good. It's like none of it was good. Real bad dude.
The new title, not What Is Love, but is the Kid Loves Hitler. All right,
Guess the new title.
But no, so take like the stuff he did, like all the evil stuff he did in his later life, and all the bad and the deaths and the tragedies and the grief that he's caused in the world, right? I mean, you take back and you look at him, and we're going to like a bunch of like classic arguments of like, would you kill Hitler as a baby, right? And a lot of people say yes. But you can look at his life from an outside perspective of us not having witnessed World War II and any of those like atrocities or anything like that, right? It's not like personal to us. We're seeing it from an outsider's perspective. You take it back and you look at what his childhood was like, what caused him to be the way he was, like what influences, what traumas, what messed up his mind that contorted him to think the way he did, to do the things he did. Then you look back at him, and instead of seeing like this evil man, you go like, man, like, and I haven't studied Hitler, so I don't know if there's stuff like that happened. I'm assuming like shitty stuff happened to him for him to become the man that he was. But then you come from perspective of like people who just kind of experienced the adult like dictator who was like an awful person, and you come at it from a perspective of like, man, this guy went through some stuff and like he's hurting, and so he like let his hurt out on the world like that. And in that scenario, I can see love in the equation of like, man, poor dude, right? You see what I'm talking about?
Kinda like Maleficent.
I do, but I attribute that love to the purity in that person trying to give it to that guy. Because what they're doing is what I do to extend love to people that I have a hard time with, and it actually comes pretty easy.
Yeah.
Again, this is where it gets in the Christian side of it for me, is people doing wrong, people being hurtful, mean, rude, awful, and like, it comes pretty easy for me to give grace to people, which I would extend to say is love or mercy for people, because I've felt it from God. I genuinely believe, and this is just my belief, is I genuinely believe that God sees me as justified, as I'll use other words instead of Christianity, is right to him.
Yeah.
Because of his love for me, his unconditional love for me, not based off of all the things I've done or not done, but because of this unconditional love, I feel right to him. Feeling that makes it pretty easy for me to turn to people and go, you've done something horrible. This is tough. And instead of being like, sentence them to death, I'm like, oh, okay, what can we do here? Like there's a tone of compassion, empathy, or even just like, all right, let's just not return evil for evil here.
Yeah.
Let's see if we can't bring something good out of this and heal that person versus like just murder them.
No, for sure. I mean, I get what you're saying, and I think like we're not really like, we're not arguing different points. I think we're like on the same boat. It's just we see it in two different perspectives, right? So I don't think,
the only reason why I bring up the purity side of it is because that's one of the things I'm very curious about. I think that
that's why I like at first I brought it up because of like the question you had like months ago that we talked about. Like that's like it kind of can tie into that. And for me, I do think it is easier to love something that's like pure.
And this is not speculation, this is happening. We're seeing a struggle with trying to create, and we'll call it a loving relationships or relationships with people, let's just talk about the dating and marriage scene right now, is because people are unsure. People are unsure. They've changed things. Things are very different now.
Yeah.
And maybe they were this way at time before, but like with the increase of let's just take porn and dating apps. And if you want something sexual, you can just get it through an app or porn or whatever. That has removed intimacy from that. And then now that part of the sexual side of romantic love is a very confusing place for a lot of people. And now they don't know, do I like girls? Do I like guys? Am I a girl? Am I a guy? What is love? Is this feel intimate? And like, I've had conversations with people that I'm like, okay, some wild ones is like, girls on dates talking to me about like all these sexual things they're okay with and very open with. It should be very intimate. It should be a very like
not a first date topic. Yeah,
and very reserved that you would ever do these or talk about these things, at least until you really know each other.
Yeah,
and then things that they're inherently make you feel intimate, which is like overextending yourself. Like we can all feel when we overextend ourselves to somebody else. I'm gonna look stupid. I better not.
Yeah.
Like that's an intimate thing too. You're opening yourself enough to look dumb in front of somebody. So like when I had one time where I tried to rap with somebody. I like to freestyle rap, and I tried to get them to, and they just shut down. They just knew they'd look stupid, and they would have looked stupid for sure.
Yeah.
I wanted them to look stupid so they understood that like
it's okay.
It's okay.
Yeah.
I literally find it attractive because it's intimate. It's good. It's like, be intimate in that way with me, because there's a lot of things that if I'm going to go, okay, sexuality is going to be something I'm going to hold and reserve in intimacy. Well, let's experience this form of intimacy, which is like being okay with screwing up in front of each other.
Yeah, no, that's a good one. I think it's interesting though, because I think there's like, if you on a date scenario, right? If you are like trying to see, that's more of like a confidence thing, right? I don't think it's like because somebody who's gonna freestyle or do like silly things like that isn't gonna feel that intimidated or that like shut down from like, I messed up. Like nobody's gonna go out of their way. Most people who like are confident will just be like, I'll try it, and if I mess up, like who cares? I'll laugh it off. But people who are truly gonna try, like I don't think that's ever. Maybe it will, but on a first date, like the scenario of somebody really shy doing that would be like crazy, right? It'd be like, what the heck?
Definitely freestyle on a first date.
You have?
Yeah, but he's good. But he's good. But he's confident. Like he knows how to freestyle. I'm talking about like somebody who doesn't know how to freestyle trying to freestyle.
Yeah, well, that's what's up. I mean, I'm into it. So then I asked this: okay, now we're going to really get weird with it. Then what is intimacy?
Wow, we can jiggy with it.
What is intimacy?
When you can be yourself around somebody.
Oh,
you can like truly just feel like you unravel. You know, you take your clothes off without having to get naked. You're yourself. And
Okay.
that freestyle, that date, I was myself.
You're like, I'm getting it.
I don't care if I'm embarrassed or not. I like you. You're gonna see me.
Metaphorically disrobing
me.
Yeah. You're trying to show
Yeah.
all of yourself to that girl, that person, to like see, hey, do you like me? Because I want you to like all of me. Which guys, we're pretty like, we like to put it all out there right away, where girls are more of a slow play thing. But what about to you over there?
I want to see what the actual definition is.
There you go. Well, to
freestyling?
me,
Of freestyling? No, of intimacy.
while we're doing that, yeah, because like I've been trying to explain that and talk to people about stuff, because I think people are losing what intimacy is, and a lot of
The
times
definition is weak. I'll tell you that. It just says close familiarity or friendship closeness.
that is weak.
Yeah,
bro.
that's
God.
weak. That's
Because to me, it has to have this element of something that doesn't go to everyone.
yeah.
There's like a one-on-one part of it. I don't know what to call that.
Like an inside joke.
Yeah, there's an exclusivity to it.
Of course.
Because if it goes to everyone, the more it
It's
goes
not
to everyone.
intimate anymore.
It's not. Exactly.
Okay. Yeah. No. Well, it can be though, because if you out here just like doing like just being intimate with everybody.
Are we
We'll just-
talking about the sexes? Are we doing the sexes? Is
We'll
that
do
what
the
you're saying?
sex. For example, right? If you're just out here like boning everything that's like moving,
Okay. And you're saying that's still intimate.
It's still intimate.
Nope.
Technically.
Wrong.
No, by definition it is.
100%. That definition sucks, and I don't believe in it. and
Okay,
it's
so I'm
wrong.
just saying
You
by
are technically
definition
close.
it is.
No, that's not.
But
that's not
I think
intimate.
by your like meaning of like, I think it's valued greater if there's like if it's more in like a rare occurrence, right? If you are
some would say it's more intimate.
Spiritual.
by definition no, but by like
I think as soon as you do that thing, whatever it is, with more and more and more people, it becomes less intimate. And that's I'm not I'm not here judging people
I
about
think it becomes
sex or
less
nothing.
valued. But I don't know if we could put a scale on intimacy. I think it is intimate or it isn't.
Here's another thing. Okay, getting away from sex, because everyone thinks whenever I bring up intimacy, they're like, "Oh, sex," right? And it's a good example. But I learned when I get on stage and I talk to people about the people I've lost and loved and how I work through it. Then when I have that same conversation one-on-one with somebody, it became less intimate to me to talk to someone
Because you've already just kind of like.
because I've been doing it to everybody.
But it's not. It's not. I don't think that's intimate. I don't think that's the word you're looking for. I think you're just more
What word?
comfortable doing it, right? Because you've done it, and it's less like of a.
Well,
It's-
let's take this. It has been intimate though. I
Yeah,
sat
yeah.
one-on-one
I agree.
with a girl that I really liked, and she was starting to chip away at some things, like where we get to talk. The more you get to know someone, right, you get to these areas, and she started to ask, well, then why do you do this? Or why do you think this way around the holidays? Or why do you? And I went ahead and went, all right, at some point we got to do this, and I got to say, da happened, and this happened,
Yeah.
and this, and that's me intimately going, all right, well, here's why, right? It's that
Yeah.
unraveling and that opening up and saying,
For sure.
okay, I hope you still like me I want you to learn a little bit more.
I'm naked now.
Yeah. And that was intimate.
Yeah.
And I've done that on stage because my hope is that more people at one time would understand and be helpful and use, but it takes me getting naked on stage, essentially, timestamp that. And
Clickbait.
yeah, and then creating intimacy that way, it did make that one-on-one not feel as intimate later with
Yeah.
someone else or whatever.
I don't know. That's interesting because I don't know if that's intimacy or because I think it could still be very intimate, but that just comes from a place of comfortability for me is like if you open up with somebody about some stuff, like it's still going to be intimate, but I guess you're right in essence to where it'll feel more personal and more valued if that's something that isn't like common knowledge, right?
Well, some people may know an issue that you have, but they don't know the
The depths of it, sure. But say that like everything is out there, right? And you've like talked about it on like, public public talks or YouTube or whatever, and all your business is out there, and you tell it to somebody that already knows it because you're a public figure, right? Then yeah, they're not gonna feel like they're entering your world of like privacy and that you're trusting them because you're like, yeah, you're just telling me stuff that you've already told everybody. So like, it's not, yeah, there's no value in it. That's what I'm saying. Like, I don't think it's a scale of intimacy. It's more of like a value of intimacy of like, because nobody else knows this about you and you're trusting me with this information. It's more of a moment. It's more value. It's, you know what I mean?
I kind of do. I also couldn't help my brain from thinking as I was listening is like, we also can regain intimacy. We can lose it and regain it even with one person or even with the same topic.
Yeah.
And so that
so,
idea,
though?
all right, do we want to go
We going crazy with it.
Do we want to go spiritually? Do we want to talk sexually? Let's go sexually because that's like that's a one people like. I think that people who have had sex before and tried things and done things, whatever. I've seen people be exhausted where they've lost
Jaded?
the loving feeling, they've gotten upset or they've got hurt, they've got jaded. All these different things have happened to them,
Yeah.
and then they go, "Well, then what do I do now?" Because I still want to be loved, I still want to be connected with somebody. And I think they can walk way back. And I've seen and know people that have walked back into loving, intimate relationships with people.
And is that, so when you explain that, is that from like, they do that from a point of like kind of just absolving from it for a while?
Sometimes I think that it takes narrowing down what causes the lack of intimacy.
Yeah.
And you have to be willing to fight for it. And you have to choose that because like, okay, for me personally, time with the Lord is one thing that like I've spent time either reading or praying or just kind of talking with God on a daily basis where I feel close to him, where I feel like I can hear him. I feel like I know what he wants me to do. And it's not this like lost in communication thing. And then I spent time away from him, not thinking, or just when I hear something from him, be like, that's all good. I'm gonna do this anyways. And this lack of communication, lack of time together, lack of reading or knowing the context of who I believe God is through the Bible. Then I started to just be like, over here. And I felt that lack of intimacy. And then all I did was just re-angle back to spending time together. And it caused that intimacy again.
Yeah. Because I was going to tie it to, I was watching videos and reading up on some of this stuff about, I think it's dopamine receptors or something like that. To where it's like a neuro, some dude who like is super like versed on like how the brain works and stuff, and he was explaining how a lot of people.
I know who it is.
I think you know what I'm talking about. It's like one guy. He's like got a beard.
Oh yeah.
No, he's like pretty popular.
Humerman.
Let me see picture. Yeah, it's him. But he was talking about dopamine receptors and how like you have to like, if you're getting too much input, and in this example, it's like too much intimacy, or so like because you're doing it so much, it's less valued, right? But he was saying like, in essence of it's the same thing with like kind of your brain and dopamine. If you're, waking up and you're immediately like playing games on your phone, and then, scrolling Instagram and just getting a dopamine rush through whatever you're doing. And like going from that to, playing video games and then eating like really like donuts, which will give you dopamine, like, and doing all these things that are like pleasure, like all day, then eventually your like dopamine receptors just get like faded to where they're like jaded. They're like, it doesn't feel as like good anymore because it like your highest high is no longer like, you've set a new bar of like where your high is.
Yeah.
So like when you have like you doing those things that make you feel good, you go from like here to here. And I know this is a podcast, so me saying here to here, only the video people will catch it. But say you have a baseline that's at a certain level, and you're at that baseline.
You're rearranging
normally.
your baseline. I think it's Andrew Huberman. He talks all about it, and he's just talking about how you can raise your dopamine level that you're used to, and then all of a sudden, when your dopamine spikes, it also has to come back down, and then you come back down. Sometimes it goes lower, and it has to resettle. And in that process, when it's high, then you're used to it being high, and then
so that's your new baseline. So when it lowers, you feel like you just feel shitty. When normally that would be your baseline, and you'd feel normal there. Mm-hmm. But yeah, that's kind of like what it made me think of that, because like,
I mean, that's the same thing I use
concept, right?
on ice baths. And I don't know, I'm not a scientist, but this is one of the things that I get in the cold. It doesn't feel good. It's not like I'm like, oh, I love this. Like people are like, I can't believe you do that. You're so crazy. And I'm like, I still don't like it. I don't get in oh my gosh, I'm so happy. Like I'm like shocked. This is cold. It feels bad.
It's painful. It sucks. Yeah.
In my mind, this is what I'm hoping, is that it's causing a negative dopamine experience that has to come back up. Now, as it comes back up, you're going to feel good. You're going to feel that dopamine leveling back out. Because you're going back
to like, oh, I'm not feeling in pain anymore.
Exactly.
It's like, this is great. Yeah.
And it comes with the benefits of reduced inflammation. All these things that are great as well. So not only you're getting an increased experience in dopamine, which is good, feels good, you have actual physical helpful things. So I've been trying to talk to people about, do these things. They give you positive after effects. Same thing when I'm in the middle of a workout and it hurts.
Yeah.
And I'm talking like, it was a 40-minute workout this morning, and halfway through, I'm like, I'm halfway through right now. I am hurting. Again, that decrease in dopamine comes to increase later, and it comes with a muscle increase later, and all these benefits.
Yeah. Because you're like proud of yourself too. Like we said, like you did something that like you didn't want to do.
And let's take a bad examples like drugs. You take drugs, it gives you a heightened dopamine experience. You're up, you feel good. That has to come back down, and it comes down with the negative repercussions of the drugs, with a hangover or whatever.
It's almost like a reverse drug. Yeah.
That's what I'm trying to get at, bro.
Wow.
I'm trying to get people out here to do reverse drugs.
This podcast has been so big
new
brain.
title: reverse drugs.
Reverse drugs, ice baths, hard workouts, running.
Yeah, dude, get your reverse drugs on.
But yeah, no, the concept absolutely makes sense to me.
And I wonder if that's the experience of runner's high. I need to look up runner's high and see the math.
I mean, he's a runner. He probably explain it more.
I just know you get it.
I mean,
I think that's an actual like endorphin rush though. Like
could be, but I'm just saying it could be like you just, because I've been on runs and been like, I'm gonna die here.
Ain't no high about this.
I am not high. I mean, when I read them the sub 5 for the sub 5 minute mile on the last 2 laps. Yeah.
You did? Oh,
yeah.
my God.
I haven't done I want to do the deadlift 500 run sub 5.
Oh, yeah. That's what I was asking.
Yeah. I haven't done it yet. I haven't tried it yet.
Yeah.
I deadlifted 475, so I'm creeping up on it. I could have done more that day, so I feel close. But I got to run not a 458. I got to run like a 448 because I need difference. 10 seconds to.
That's a massive difference when it comes to that.
And yesterday I did a 2.5K, a mile and a half for time, and I ran 540.
That's quick.
543 the whole time.
That's quick.
But it's still that's 43 seconds per mile, so it's 43 plus half of that. So you know what I mean? That's
and I hate to bring this up because that is really fast and like insane.
I'm almost a minute slow.
But when you look at like the marathon runner who ran like what it was like a 4-minute pace for the marathon. That's what? Yeah. What are you talking about? He ran a 4-minute pace for a marathon.
If y'all haven't seen go on my YouTube. I do a series with Ryan Hall. Ryan Hall is the American world record or the American record holder for the marathon time. He ran a 4:45 the entire marathon.
Wow.
That's not even real, bro.
I know. All right.
That's not even real.
It's not even. And so I trained with him and I was literally sick to my stomach. The one thing they didn't show in the videos is I got in the trunk of a car and I said, I just got to be in here for a while, man. Don't bother me. Yeah. I'm sick. I'm sick to my stomach because the altitude, we're doing wind sprints. He's holding me back. And then we did the 10K and then we weightlifted and I was like, man, I'm sick.
Where were you at?
Flagstaff, Arizona, 7,000 feet.
Bro, what, like
I was sick, boy.
Because like runners people who don't like understand pacing won't understand how crazy that is.
Yeah, no.
That's like a sprint. That's like more than a sprint almost.
Everybody knows that anything under 5 is insane.
Yeah, that's fast.
Because he's not like built like one of those like marathon runners either, is he?
Now he's not. He was.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Your
I
body
guess you
adapts.
have to be to like be like that.
Your body definitely adapts. Now he's been weightlifting, and you see the video, you'll see he's built up, and that's why we did all the strength training at the end because he got big in the deadlift. He also tried the 500. You can look up his video. Ryan Hall runs deadlift 5, run sub 5. He ends up deadlifting the 5. He fails the 5 on the first attempt, but then he gets on the second attempt. So he resets the clock. The clock starts when you pick up the 500 pounds.
Yeah.
So he fails it and then has to like re-psych himself up. Now he's on the track. The weights are on the track.
I'll just reset.
He's in his running spikes, right? And then he goes up to hit a max effort deadlift, 500 pounds.
In running spikes
on the track, and then hits it, drops the bar, and then it's like time's already started as soon as you picked up the bar. So you got to go, trips over the bar, stumbles, takes off, but ends up running a 5:26, I think, or something. And it's like, dang, bro, this man ran 4:48 for a marathon, and he couldn't get this one
because he's so much weight on him now. No?
Yeah, I don't know. I'm trying to do it at 200 pounds. I'm telling you right now.
Maybe you just need to
believe in you.
Slim up
or thicken up. I'm about to be a thick biscuit hit. You got to be thick to get that 5.
I'll give you a box of them French biscuits. It'll get you there.
Yeah, bro. I don't know, man. I mean, I'm creeping on it. I'm gonna try it here in like a couple months.
Yeah.
And we'll get back on the podcast and talk about it.
Let's transition into some of the deep. I mean, we've been pretty deep.
We've been in the deep.
I'm gonna say we're gonna go
get us
deeper.
A diving board, bro.
So for me personally, this is the first year I'm gonna be like pretty much. It feels weird to me because I've been in this situation before, to where like I'm the only family member like on this continent, right? Because everybody just went to France and it's just me here now. My sister.
Before we go into this topic, you want to drop an ad real quick?
I don't think we have an ad.
We got one real. He has an event this Saturday.
Oh, look at him!
No, this isn't gonna drop before.
Yeah, but they need to know. What up, everybody? This podcast is sponsored by Graham Mccartney, the Island Ninja. I'm out here trying to do adult camps, ninja clinics. So I'm teaching some of the skills I've learned from not only 7 years of American Ninja Warrior, competing on the Spartan show, the Spartan games, all that other stuff, OCR races, but also the weightlifting and the gymnastics techniques for CrossFit and how to climb a rope in 80 feet in 30 seconds, all these different things that, you know, you got to come out to these camps. So Saturday, this won't be out in time, so you probably missed it, but there'll be another.
No, I'll probably drop it tonight actually, but
yeah.
We'll
so sponsored by you got to go on though. You got to be on my Instagram and see my posts so you know when to come in, because I'm gonna start doing them in other cities. I'm gonna do some here too. So thank you for our award from our sponsors, and back to the show.
I lost my train of thought.
Only family member on this continent.
Yeah, you were saying
Okay,
this is the first.
So yeah, there was like this morning because I had to like drop my parents at the airport. I felt like just off. Like I don't know. Some mornings I wake up and I just feel like not sick to my stomach, but I just don't feel like not. I don't know the words yet. I just don't feel good. I'm just like, man, I'm about to be like alone, and it sucks. But it is what it is. Like it's actually not that bad. Like I have a lot of friends here, and it's not like I'm actually alone. But I don't know. There's something about it that feels weird to like. Because I would have liked to go back to France over the summer, or not the summer, over the winter to see family, but it's just going for 2 weeks in the cold. It's just miserable. It's not a good time. I've done it, and I was like, I didn't have a good time. I don't want to do this again. So I remembered when my dad was like, "Hey, we're going back in the winter. You want to go?" I was just like, done that. Wasn't fun. Had back spasms for like 2 weeks of how cold it was. I'm good. I'm not doing it. But now that it's like the time that they left, my sister left too. It just is weird because like everybody.
Yeah.
That's not something that I've experienced a lot in my life to where like I'm alone. And I think a lot of people do because like I didn't leave to college, right? I did college and stayed at home at the same time. I commuted and then I was doing the ninja stuff at the same time. So for me, it's like, it's weird because I'm like, man, Christmas is going to be a lonely beast in here, right? I'm just going to be me and Freya just posted up.
So how does one not feel lonely?
It's tough, and honestly, one of the things that has helped, right, is these just meditating, right? There's certain like I use Headspace, it's just like a meditation app, but they have like a pack on like specifically that kind of stuff, and it like just meditating on it and that kind of stuff has helped. But I don't know, that's an interesting topic, and also surrounding yourself with good people, right? Like,
I mean, there's a big difference between lonely and alone. And I think that that's where things get weird because you could be alone and feel lonely, or you could be alone and feel great. I mean, now that I'm getting older, I like being alone sometimes. I love when I shut the door and it's night and it's not too late yet. I know I'm getting up early, but I'm in bed early and I'm just laying there and the fan's blowing and I'm like,
yeah,
this is good, you know? And I'm alone. I don't feel lonely there. I'm just alone. So we're separating alone versus lonely. But the thing is, that's tricky about loneliness is you hear it all the time too. People are married and they're lonely.
Yeah, that's crazy.
And you're like, what? How are you married?
That's such an interesting like dynamic.
Intimacy.
We already did that. Don't bring that back up.
And we're back. Now, let's just say, I think this is me. Again, remember I said earlier in the podcast, the things that have worked for me have been kingdom principles. Now, without getting into all the different ones, one of the ones that helps with loneliness to fend and fight off that is I never feel alone because I think God is always with me.
Yeah.
And that he'll never leave me or forsake me.
For sure. And that's one of the things that like...
So I don't feel that. Now, it doesn't mean I've never felt alone or feel lonely. It's just one of those big helpers.
It like immediately kind of like anchors you back. You're like, oh, wait, I got that. I'm good. Right.
And I, but feeling loneliness though, without the context of Christianity, what do people do? Like, what is a way people are experiencing how to get outside of loneliness?
Yeah, I mean, anything mental, I kind of ties back to me as like meditation and just kind of like not fighting the feelings and being like accepting of them and experiencing them from a perspective of like curiosity versus like frustration, right? If you're like fighting it, and you're like, man, I don't want to feel lonely. This sucks, and you're like trying to like fight the feelings. It's just gonna get worse and grow. But if you like kind of sit there and meditate in it and feel what it actually feels like. For the most part, it's trying to like kind of, it's like trying to just flow through you, right? Most of these feelings aren't eternal. And like nothing is eternal that we like kind of feel through this life, right? But those feelings, like a big thing for me is with anything like that, like loneliness or anxiety or anger, like rage, even like things like that. I first remind myself that like it's temporary. And then I come at it from a mindset of like a student, like curious and seeing what it's trying to teach me and seeing what it literally feels like, because you can feel it and just kind of be blinded by like anger is a good example, right? That like, I was playing in like a competition the other day. It was like a volleyball tournament, and I hadn't felt this like kind of like, when you get competitive, like you can get kind of like that anger that like if a play goes bad or you can get mad at yourself, mad at the other guy or something like that. And I hadn't felt it in a while because in Ninja, it doesn't exist. There isn't like, you don't go against somebody that like there's ninja versus ninja, but like I never like felt like ripping somebody's head off in ninja versus ninja. But when I used to play like paintball, like at a like higher level, or like volleyball now, and when I'm playing like competitively against people, that side has come back out of me of like I'm like ready to rip somebody's head off, but like when it's over, I'm like, oh, I'm cool with these guys, like I'm friendly. But during the heat of the moment, I feel that anger. And I think like, some people have like anger problems, right? And I think a lot of that comes from fighting the emotion and being like, I don't want to be angry. And like, I'm angry that I'm angry. And that just builds, right? Instead of just being like, I'm angry. What is it trying to teach me? I'm curious. What does it feel like? Like, do I feel in my stomach, in my head, in my hands hot? Like things of that nature help a lot.
I mean, definitely being a student of your feelings is something I've always done that I don't think I've titled it that way. I think it sounds cool. And I think it's a good way to do it because I'm very curious of when I feel. I'm curious of why I feel that way. Is it accurate? Should I give it more of my thought and time, effort, and feelings? Yeah. Or should I just let it go? And if I need to let it go, how do I do that? Because when I was younger, I fought people a lot. Like in rugby, we fought more people. Yeah. And then I got to college and I finally figured out, like that when I got really, really mad, just do as many push-ups as you can. And then you stand up and see if you still want to fight the person.
You're just tired,
and you don't. You're tired. You don't because
I can't pick my arm up right now.
And it works. I was in class.
That's
once.
how he got this chest. He's just one angry guy.
Why do you think I'm fit? Because I got a lot of feelings. I work them out. I literally worked them out of me. But it was really helpful because it took the rage and the blinders off of anger, and then it was like, okay, I'm really tired now. Do I still feel the same? Yeah. And I'm like, okay, I'm upset. Why am I upset? Okay, it's this. Well, okay. And then the only things that will linger in anger now are more about justice. When I see something that's an injustice and I'm mad about it, I continue. It doesn't matter how tired I get. I'm like, what you're doing is wrong. I'm upset with you doing that thing that's wrong. Yeah. And it's different than like, oh, you said something that pissed me off. Because then I'm like, oh, I did a bunch of push-ups. Like, okay, cool. You just have a bad opinion. You think I'm stupid when you're wrong. That's fine. Think I'm stupid, whatever. But if you're doing something hurtful to somebody that I love or someone that needs defending, let's say, yeah, I don't stop that. I don't. That doesn't just go away. So then I'm like, it's different.
So then you got to pump and you're still pissed.
Yeah, and I got to pump. Then I'm just warmed up at that point. I'm just warmed up and ready for that smoke.
Yeah. No, yeah.
We really spiraled on that topic.
A little bit, but no, we could tie it back. But yeah, last week I talked about like the topic of kind of like the holiday season sucking for some people because we were talking about how like I was bringing up that like, wintertime is probably the worst time like mentally for people because there's less sunlight and that's like been proven to be more like, sunlight is kind of what keeps you happy most of the time. So people are already bummed and like it's cold. You're not outside as much.
People get sick more
disease. It's a bad time, but it's also the most wonderful time of the year. And my point was like, man, Christmas is at this time for this reason. Because imagine if Christmas was in the summer would be lit and winter would suck some heavy ass, like there'd be nothing to look forward to. Yeah. So I was saying it's strategically placed like in the winter but it made me think also of like, yeah, but Christmas is great, but also Christmas sucks for some people. Like people came to mind and I'm like, man, like for example, like for me, it's not bad because like my family's in France, we're doing a thing. It's not like, oh, like I can never have another Christmas with them. But for some people that is the case. They're just reminded of memories of being a kid and having certain like parents there or any family member or friends that are gone. And they're like, instead of Christmas being like a good time, it's not a good time. It's like a reminder of just pain and like that kind of stuff. So, I mean, you could talk on that a lot more than I can.
Yeah. And I think that the key to me that why I think it hurts so much for me is that I have experienced very, very loving situations. I remember I was close to my great grandparents, both of them. And then, my family had kids young. So it was like I had my great grandparents. I had my grandparents who were divorced. So there was two sets of grandparents and then my mom and dad. And then, my mom got remarried eventually. And then I have my little brother and my sister. And it was just very big family. And we would have big I remember being a kid and having like the like part, if we're going back to that part, the like and love part, I felt the like part of the loving relationship with my family very often because they did buy me the trampoline and build it in our garage. And we looked everywhere of the house. Like, I thought we were going to get a trampoline. We weren't looking outside, and then we go walk in the garage and it's big enough to touch all the walls. And it was just like just enough. And the last place we would have thought, and we were like, what? And there's like candy on the middle, and we could jump in and eat the candy. And I like that. They did something for me that I liked. And I experienced deep, deep feelings of like and continued into love and other things as it grew. And then to lose all that, trying to rewrite all that now makes it really hard because I think over the last few years dealing with grief and everyone being gone, it can't be the same. Those people aren't coming back. Yeah. How do I do it? Well, I went into the kingdom principles and tried to change things that way because I've tried a couple Christmases, which I think is a common thing people will do, is they try to make it a good Christmas. I'll get the good gift or the thing or the whatever. And if it is about your experience, you have to have the good food. You have to make sure the event goes well and whatever. You have to hopefully you get the present or thing you want. But the problem with that is it's so fickle. It's doable and you can kind of pull it off every once in a while.
Also, it's not about enjoyment anymore because you're the one trying to pull it off. You're not like the kid trying to you're not just a kid enjoying the moment anymore. You're trying to make the moment happen for others.
I just don't want to overlook I don't know, it's not shallow. It's just the thing you can do. You can create a good event. Yeah. You can invite people and like have them around. So hopefully it causes the right situations to you that you feel good about. Yeah. And I've done that. But what I realized, the actual key is if you make it about other people, it changes the whole dynamic of other things. And yes, you might experience some things back to yourself that you like, whether it's a gift or a moment or time or whatever. But the thing is, make it about other people, loving them, doing things for them, celebrating them, letting them know how much you love them, calling them, buying gifts for them, doing something with the intent of other people. It changes the dynamic of the holiday season. Yeah. So that's been my little pro tip going into it, to not go, these people aren't coming back. Cause that's true. Yeah. But that doesn't mean I can't rewrite the future because my sister is having kids and that is a newness of life. So I can focus on them and go, I want to do these kids. I want to get them things, or the Caldwells. They're just random family here in Texas I've grown really close with. I love seeing their grandkids and I get them gifts and do little loving things. When it's about them, it changes things. It makes me enjoy it. Yeah, again.
That's a lot. I think that's such a huge thing in like any struggles in life, whether it's grief or other things. And I think as soon as you are no longer like in that victim mentality and you're more about like, that's like a big switch is like, oh, I can like help people with what I've gone through versus like, oh, I'm a victim of this situation. Mm-hmm. Then you immediately kind of flip that script and it's like, it's not about control because it really isn't, but it's more about like, it's a big perspective change and you're not focusing on like what sucks in your life, but you're focusing on like good things, right? And it's all about perspective. It's all about focus. Like it's like the biggest things. Really.
It's about drive. It's about drive. Yeah, right. That's all I could hear. Am I the only one listening to rock?
You didn't focus on what was. You focus on what can be. Yeah, and I like that part because I was the same way. My Christmases became smaller and same thing, and you kind of, I've got some answers from you and focus on other people because it's kind of, Christmas, it sucks not having the people around no more that could be there.
And I think it's tougher when you had it. Like, I mean, it's different for people that never had it. And like, I got to look at them and be like, man, I'm thankful that I had it and I know it. Yeah. So what do you do with that? You can try to have it.
Recreate it.
By giving it. Mm-hmm. You can't try to have it by making it so that it comes back to you. You have to just give it and then let it be about other people. And it may circle back. It might. Mm-hmm. But I think that giving it is the key. And again, that's the kingdom principle I'm trying to go off of, is like, it's better to give than receive. Honestly, I have a hard time believing that. I have a real hard time believing that, because receiving is really good. When I get a really good gift I want, it feels really good. Yeah. But I will choose to believe it. And in that same situation this Christmas, I'm trying to make it about other people and then see what happens. And so far it's been good. It doesn't mean I don't hurt. And it's not to say people don't grieve. And that doesn't mean you don't have moments of like really upset and whatnot, but maybe making it about other people and that, where you can talk and share with someone who is grieving now. Cause I know people that are more recently grieving. Yeah. I was just talking to my uncle on the way here. He's holding a grief counseling class at his church. And I was like, oh man, what does that look like? I've never thought about like really giving back in grief, like, because I feel like I got some pro tips on it. I mean, I've been through some grief, and it still happens. What would it be like if I really shared the things that helped me and the really, really like peak moments? Because when the peak moments hit, it gets weird.
Yeah.
I mean, one moment I'm watching a movie and I start crying, and I'm watching with the boys and we're at the house, and I'm crying pretty heavy. And it's because the movie depicts what it feels like at the funeral of your loved one very, very well.
Yeah.
And I'm crying, I'm hyperventilating. I'm like, oh my gosh, like, and they're like, what's going on? And the movie's over. And I'm like, I'm trying to explain to them how accurate this movie has depicted what it feels like. And I'm also in my head dealing with the thoughts that keep coming back in grief, which is like, everyone you love is going to die. There's only, and you keep, and I'm dealing with that. And I pass out in the living room, in the kitchen.
No way.
I pass out, hit the refrigerator, fall to the ground. And I come to with the boys over me, like, you okay? What's up?
That's crazy.
And I was like, yeah, dude, I think my body just needed the reset button hit because like in my head, I'm thinking, don't believe that lie. Don't believe that lie. Don't believe that lie. Bang, bong.
Slumped.
And I got up and, I cried a little bit more, but I was like, hey, I just want you to understand, like, this, they did a good job. That's what it feels like. I went back. For a moment, I went back to those feelings that hurt so bad. And I just want you to know that, there's a fight that happens in grief where you have to move on.
Yeah.
That I don't know. I haven't read. A Grief Observed is a book that I think is really good. C.S. Lewis wrote it about his wife.
Yeah.
And it was very helpful. But I've never read a ton of books on how to deal with grief. So like, they're out there. People have gone through it, and
there's I don't even know, like, this is like a weird statement. Even though, like, because like laughing is like fun and it feels good too, but I think crying feels good. Like it kind of does. It's like comforting, and it feels like you're like releasing something. It feels like you're taking a weight off your shoulders a lot of the time. Mm-hmm. Like, even though crying is associated with like bad things, when you see somebody cry, you immediately want to help them, right? Something like that. But there's times where like I just feel like I need to cry, right? And even though like nothing has like happened like that, maybe like that, but you just kind of feel like you have like this like kind of shit bubbling in your chest, and you're like, man, if I just got like a good cry out, I'd be good.
It's like doing push-ups when you're angry.
Yeah, it's similar. You're getting that energy out. It's a way to like kind of flow that energy. But I think like, I think it's been destigmatized for the most part. But I think back in the day, like men were like told to like not cry and just kind of bottle everything up, and how like unhealthy that actually is for you, like mentally and physically, probably.
I've never thought about. I've definitely had moments where the biggest tip I have for people that I do think is really important about grief and about dealing with your feelings inside yourself is you have to catch yourself as soon as you start thinking, woe is me.
Yeah.
Woe is me has never served me well. Whenever I start thinking, I can't believe, this happened to me. And as soon as that train of thought starts going.
It's the victim mentality we were talking about earlier.
It makes everything worse, and it makes everything continual. It doesn't put an end to anything. It always just grows. Mm-hmm. So when I started catching that, I had to immediately go, well, wait a second. This is woe is me. Back off of that a little bit. It's okay to be upset. It's okay to say this was bad. It's okay to say I wish this didn't happen. But you can't let that continual thought go.
Yeah, no, absolutely.
Because it will continue. It's a hamster wheel.
Yeah.
And so I caught that one like early in the grief process where I was like, whoa, this is just a repetitive feeling.
Yeah. Because
it's good to go, yes, that hurt. Yes, it's painful. Yes, I'm still upset. But then you move on.
Yeah.
When you're caught in the hamster wheel of, oh, I can't believe this happens to me. You can always have that feeling. You can at any moment go, oh, me again.
No, victim mentality is like like in a lot of mental stuff is like how you get trapped, is like, because you're just like, nobody's here to save, like nobody's gonna save you but yourself, right? So in essence, if you just go victim mentality, like it's never a good place to be.
I'll tell you, it is very tough though when you're grieving.
Oh, yeah, I can't imagine, but I could see like that it's easy. That's an easy, like, that's a default.
It worse like that when you're grieving. Play that victim mentality, you make it worse. I had that, and all my wounds after that became self-inflicted. Everything bad was because woe was me.
Yeah,
I was looking at it the wrong way, wrong perspective.
It's a tough deal. So
the most recent thought of kind of like grief that I could think about is my my like childhood dog dying. Not Freya, but obviously she's right here. But Jumper was like my childhood dog, right? Well, boy. So he passed away about a year ago. No, it's not been a year. I don't. It's like been.
It was this year. It was early this year.
Yeah, it was early this year. And I remember like I still get sad from time to time. Like I'll have like a dream and he'll be in it and I'll wake up and I'll be kind of like tearing up. But I remember like when it happened, I wasn't, man. I'm like, nope, can't talk about this. It still hurts me.
Well, tell us, man, what feeling is it? I mean, we've been talking about this podcast, like name and understand our feelings. What feeling is it right now that you think about?
For me, it's just, I don't know, like, because I only cried hard once for him. I remember I was in my bathroom and I like literally just fell down on the ground and that was it. Mm-hmm. But what helps me with like, because it's almost like a happy cry, like it's a cry, but for me, it's like I remember the good times and I know that they weren't going to be permanent. But trying to remember that I got to experience those moments is what helps me, right? Mm-hmm. Instead of like, yeah.
No, it's good. I mean, that's the hardest, is recognizing how good it was, or like the remembering of those things. Those hold a lot more weight to me than thinking of like the worst moments I've had with people.
Yeah.
The best moments are the ones that continue to linger, and they kind of subside with a happy ending, where the worst ones kind of like, I can't believe they did this to me or hurt me this way. They don't have a happy ending, but
yeah, but it's because I was talking to my sister about it, and for her, she was just like, man, I'm so sad that he's gone, and like that kind of stuff. And I am, but for the most part, it's easier for me to think about like, man, we got like a good run. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah. And that's kind of the way I've thought about my family a lot. Was, I mean, I know people that hate their parents or that have parents now that they don't talk to, and to go, man, I had a good mom. And she had some tough goes, but I had a good mom. That's awesome. You had a good dog. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. For a long time. And that's dope. For sure. But I think that's also us as healthy people being able to understand a positive perspective. And I think it's very hard, because the biggest way I would describe grief in the beginning was sometimes pain felt so thick. It was like I'm standing in a world of fog and I could put my hand this far in front of my face and not see it, because the fog of pain is there. And so trying to help people who are standing in the fog go, no, your hand's right in front of you, man. I'm telling you, it's right there. It don't matter to them. Yeah. Because the pain's still there. So those moments will let people know the wind will blow through in a little bit, but while the wind's not, it's dead right now, pain's going to be thick, whether that's presence. And I definitely want to encourage people. One of the things people don't know, that when they ask me like, what do I do about this funeral? What do I do? Presence with somebody, literally just being there is the most powerful thing at times. And yeah, there's little things you can do, like maybe bring some food at someone who's just lost a family member. They're not thinking about eating. They still need those things. That's a great thing too. I remember my one friend, Lucas, was at my mom's funeral, standing in the back wearing a suit and didn't say a word. Yeah. And I remember going up to the casket, and he wasn't fighting to come see me. He just stood there, stoic in the back, and I knew he was there. Yeah. And it literally to me was just like, your presence is so valuable to me. Yeah. I forever will remember that. Yeah. Yeah. And that looks like sometimes sitting down with somebody and being present, and we've lost the art of presence because of our phones, but literally just sitting in a room and seeing what happens, seeing what gets brought up, topics, or if there's not, and you just sit there. There's a really powerful stuff there that we're losing because of phones, but I'm not here to crap on phones. Yeah. I just want to encourage people that if you're grieving, or if you're someone is, or it's a tough season, remember presence is more powerful than you understand. And then remember that people could be in the fog, and while they're in the fog, that presence can be the thing that wades them through it until the wind blows and clears up things. And then they can maybe get to the place where we go, oh man, you know what? The end goal that we want people to get to is thankfulness, because that's the resetter. That's where peace comes. And again, that's a kingdom principle. That's straight up Bible right there. I mean, I didn't make that up. That's Philippians 4:3.
He out here quoting.
Yeah, that's a 4:6. Philippians 4:6. Be anxious in nothing, but in all things through prayer and supplication, let your requests be known to God, and the peace that surpasses all understanding will be given to you through Christ Jesus. It's this idea that when you're anxious, you're worried, through prayer and supplication. Supplication is the thankful prayer. So when you're worried, be thankful and pray to God about it. And then this peace comes. That's straight up. That's straight up scenario on how to deal with stuff right from Philippians. And it works.
Yeah. Yeah.
So that's kingdom principle that works for me. And I think it works in general. But yeah, man, I mean, hoping people get to the thankful mindset, that's what we want. Mm-hmm. But I think that the cloud of pain, I remember you can't tell me nothing, dude. When the cloud was thick, you couldn't tell me anything. Dude. You couldn't tell me, oh, it's this, or this is coming, or this is a good thing, or this. It didn't matter. Yeah. All that mattered was that I couldn't see. Mm-hmm. You know?
Yeah.
So if someone you know is in that place, man, you don't try to convince them. Don't try to you can be there, and that presence can be the convincing factor. Because sometimes grief just needs somebody there with it.
Yeah. Where we at time-wise? We're pretty deep in it.
You want to end on a positive note, though?
Dang.
Let's go light real quick.
Yeah,
we got?
Take a breath.
2021's ended last month. Grant, how was it?
Yeah,
Pros,
man.
Good.
He tightening up.
Yeah, I have been, man, and I feel good about it. I mean, before we got on this call, my buddy just sent me a voice message, and people have been reaching out to pray for me because they feel something and whatever. And I've made some decisions that I feel good about lately. Because I've made some decisions I didn't feel good about. It's not that I'm perfect. It's just that I'm tightening up, and I think that there's something to say for making a decision and going for it in a good way, where you can you feel good about yourself going, you know what? I'm not going to do that anymore. I'm going to do this instead. And so I'm feeling good going into it. And for me, that's opening up that relationship with the Lord through intimacy a little bit more. Yeah. But it's good, man. I'm excited for the holiday season with this new perspective of.
How was that? You went to the UFC fight. How was that?
That was so dope, man. I literally just met a guy at a gym, and he ended up being like an executive at UFC.
What?
And so he was like, you guys could come out to the fight. And I asked my homie, my best friend Kelly could come. And he was like, sounds good. Gave us like the best seats you could want, which is not too low, not too high, like where you see everything. And then afterwards we left to, do all the things where they take an executive room and whatever you want to do. And there's all these important people there, whatever. Theo Vaughn's out there and trying to get an Uber. And I'm like trying to order him an Uber on my phone. I'm like, I'm trying to order Theo an Uber right now.
He pay you back, bro?
Yeah, I was trying. I didn't know how to do it. Shout out Theo, by the way. I went to see him. So I was like, what's up, man? Like, I just saw you, in Knoxville. He's like, hope I did a good job. Also, how do I get to the Aria? And I was like, man, I got you. Just let me try to Uber this thing real quick. But, cool dude. And so getting to see a lot of cool people. The fights were crazy.
That one this weekend with Nunes getting upset.
Weren't they all
right? I literally was I was like, we're looking around, we're running numbers because everyone's like, oh, it's a sure thing.
Yeah, she was like 1,000 favors.
Yeah, and people
somebody
were
made
like,
some money.
Yeah,
exactly.
Someone made some money.
And that's what everyone was saying. But my homie Ryan at the gym this morning goes, what about the person who bet 300,000 to make 20,000 easy?
He done.
They just lost 300,000.
Somebody had to make that money from somewhere, though.
Yeah,
you know what I mean,
dude. And I'm just saying, it's kind of wild. It happened.
Bing bong.
Yeah, I got him.
Yeah.
So it was cool, man. I mean, I have a lot of things to be thankful for, and the high note I'm gonna end on, maybe we'll just say a couple things I'm thankful for. I'm really thankful for my health. I'm really thankful for my mental health, which is something I'm seeing more and more people struggle with, and I'm starting to see how I could struggle with it more. Mm-hmm. And I think my physical leads into my mental health, so I'm really thankful for that. I'm really thankful I'm in a good, healthy place to where I can go in this holiday season, kind of eating what I want, because I'm going to enjoy that. I told myself I'm going to go home and I'm going to cook. One of the things I want to do is I need to make it about other people. I'm gonna cook things. I'm gonna try to make Reese's from scratch. Like, why? I don't know. My dad likes Reese's. I like Reese's. And in Hawaii, I had these like homemade Hawaiian ones, and I'm like, I could make that. So we'll find out. Yeah. You know what I mean? And I'm gonna do those things. I'm thankful for that, and I'm thankful for the friends and family I still have. Yeah, man, I feel like I got a lot to be thankful for. So
yeah,
And
That's
I am excited. I legit am excited for the holiday season based off of, again, being Christian, being excited about Christmas and the fact that there is a hope that comes with it that kind of is bigger than everything else.
Yeah.
Once you get that and understand that, it is a very powerful thing. So I'm hopeful and I'm excited.
Yeah. We can wrap it there. You got anything else, Rock?
You got anything else? Yeah, I guess I'm good.
I guess we good then. This has been episode 30. Oh wait, I gotta do the you guys talk. I gotta pull up the shout of the week.
This podcast brought to you by Graham McCartney.
Oh, he's doing it. No. You only paid for one.
You got your avatar ready for the metaverse?
Yeah, dog. We've been tripping on some meta stuff because people have been asking me, am I going to start doing NFTs?
Yeah. We're actually, kids' dad's been trying to get into that.
Dang, dude. I haven't gone to cyberspace yet, but I do have a guy ready to make them and mint them. And I don't want to go pushing a product I don't understand. Mm-hmm. I understand I can sell hype. I think that people that believe in me as a person would buy them just because like I believe in him. They're going to go up.
Yeah.
I don't know if I feel good about that.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I could have NFTs soon too, though. So I don't know what to tell
get
you.
my avatar ready to go. My avatar's going to have dreadlocks.
So for the shout out of the week, if you guys want to give us a shout out or if you guys want to give us a 5-star review on the iTunes podcast app, we'll give you a shout out and read out your comments. I think this guy messed up. His username is it's &, money sign. And he wrote, amazing. I love this podcast and I listen to this show every time a new episode is available. I originally found this show through Ninja. Can't wait to see what's next. But he gave us a 1-star review. So I don't know if he thinks it's like the other way around where he's like,
hater.
That's 1-star top. Like, I don't know. It doesn't match. But if you are listening to this, and maybe go change that for me, big man. But yeah, if you want to be the next shout out of the week, all you got to do is go to the iTunes app, give us a 5-star review, write something down. If you don't write anything down, then we won't be able to see it.
Also, y'all go watch my YouTube.
Yeah.
Come on, man.
He been cranking some content.
I've been putting out some YouTubes and ain't nobody watching it. It's killing me inside. I'm going to keep doing it though.
Yeah, you got to just keep cranking those
I'm going to keep doing it.
This has been episode 32 of the Kind of Nice Podcast, guys. We'll take you. Have a good holiday season. I think we'll have more episodes before Christmas, but yeah, have a good season, guys. We'll catch you on the next episode. Peace.
All right, y'all.
I'm kinda nice with the gear, yeah. Shout out my area code. I'm feeling nice with the drill. And now about to bury the flow. I'm about to make me a meal. Nothing gon' get in the way. You soon keeping it trill.